Hello everyone, sorry about the noise from the plastic bag window of my Ranger. Gotta fix that one pretty soon. It's October, it's Minnesota. And this video, today's video is about narcissists. One sign of a narcissist is they can't stop nitpicking. They can't stop criticizing. They can't stop pointing out what you are doing wrong or what is not perfect for them. Or what's not perfect enough for them. My mind, I'm saying, can you just please stop? Just stop. Leave me alone. Or they criticize, the way you're doing it wrong. You could be doing it right, 100% right, and you're still doing it wrong. Or maybe today you did it the day they told you to do it yesterday, but they changed the rules. So you're doing it wrong again. Okay, that's oppositionalism. That's an oppositional personality. One lady that stayed with my mom and I back around 2000, 2001, 2002, she lived with a really strong version of bipolar, and she told us that when they did a psychological test of her, they said she had an oppositional personality. I don't remember when she stayed with my mom and I don't remember noticing that. Maybe I've forgotten about it. She had a dad. Her father would yell and yell. He had just an extremely strong personality. He would yell, he would lose his temper. Those are the type of people that they just terrorize the people around them. And, yell, explode, nitpick, criticize, nothing's perfect enough. One phrase with one narcissist I didn't use often enough was, leave me alone. I don't deal with this person every day like I did in the past, but I should have used the phrase, leave me alone, much more often. Since of course you don't know where I live, the landlord that I had been under since fall of '97. It was husband and wife. He passed away. I don't know if it was August or September. He was I think in his mid-80s, I believe. And I don't know if they had the wake yet or not. Last time I talked to one of the sons, they were planning a wake. There wasn't, an official funeral unless they had a private funeral. Some families do a private funeral. And I actually was thinking of going if they had a wake. But his health had declined a bit. I guess in the last, 5-6 years. And the last time I saw him was summer of 24. His wife was driving him around on the property. He was in the passenger seat. And I walked out of the door to the apartment. And I usually take the sidewalk to avoid picking up ticks because I've had Lyme disease since the early 80s. I think I was in more of a hurry but he was in the passenger seat, and I walked across the grass to my truck, and he yelled. He didn't yell really loud, but he spoke out loud, "Don't walk on the lawn." That's the last words he ever spoke to me. Don't walk on the lawn. I could make a 2-hour video on the stuff that he did from 97 until, up to about 5-6 years ago. He wouldn't leave me alone. From 1997 into 2001, it was almost every day he was bugging me about something. It was endless, completely endless. From my truck not being perfect enough to me leaving a riding mower in the back of my truck overnight. I was supposed to unload it off my truck into the barn at the end of the night. Or my truck was too junky looking, or Boyd, why don't you fix that rust spot on your truck? Or Boyd, you got home too late. Boyd, you're going to wake up everybody with the noise from your, you need to replace that muffler. And there's a car to my left. It looks like a mom and daughter eating ice creams. They were looking at me, probably seeing me talking, but it was endless. I had tires on my front of my lawn tractor punctured, I think 3 or 4 times. I think there was one time I saw him out by my tractor from my bedroom with a long screwdriver in his hand. He was hovering around the back of my truck, and he pulled his arm back like this, like he was going to strike the tire, and then he saw me at the last second, looked up at me, smiled, walked away from my truck and my tractor. And I literally, okay, they're enjoying their, what's that?
Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Pretty good. Enjoying your ice cream?
I am.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I can't have dairy, so.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, I loved going to Nelson's Ice Cream. The blueberry cheesecake is really good. Yep. Sorry about that interruption. Those are like high school girls. I maybe the one that was driving, I thought that was a mom. Then I look again. No, there might have been a sister. I don't know, but that's odd. I'll be 59 in 2 months, and these high school girls rolled down their window just to say hi. They just said hi. That's fine. That's fine. Anyway, and yeah, he threatened to tow my truck, I think 2 different times, because my truck was ugly. It had insurance on it, had up-to-date tabs. It wasn't leaking, but he just threatened to tow my truck because it was ugly. What else? Oh, another time he threatened to evict me because my truck was ugly. There's so many things that happened with my landlord. I can't even remember all of them. It's just unbelievable. He just turned on. He made me, I guess, his worst enemy. There was, I don't want to sit in all these and face the door and have these people looking at me funny, so I'm going to pull into a different parking spot here. But yeah, if you do come to Stillwater and you like ice cream, Nelson's Ice Cream on Greeley Street, blueberry cheesecake is to die for. It is just fantastic tasting, but they're going to be closing probably by the end of the month, depending on weather. But what else? Yeah, I had wires on two different trailers cut. Wires to the taillights. Um, he'd be waiting outside the shop. He'd be pounding on something with a hammer, and then as soon as I come out, he'd start talking to me, and he'd chew me out for this or that, or things that have nothing to do with a renter breaking a law, breaking a rule. He told me I could not have friends come over and visit. I couldn't throw parties. I couldn't have people come to the property to buy anything from me. He bugged me about that one over and over and over again. I called the Minnesota Attorney General's office with questions in the late 90s about this kind of stuff. I called them, I think at least 2-3 times. They kept notes on my calls, and I think the third time I called them, they begged me to turn him in. They begged me to turn him in. And just, I don't know if the guy was bipolar or what he was. Some days he'd be in a really good mood. Other days he look at you like he wanted to kill you or something. He's just so angry. And so he bugged me from 97 to 2001, then stopped for 2, 3, 4 years, and then started up again for 2, 3 years. And so he would be, like I said already, he'd be outside the shop with a hammer banging on something, just some random thing. And then he'd start talking to me and bugging me about something, and then I'm on my way to go deliver pizza, and I don't want to be late, and he just had to make up something that I was doing wrong. And it got to the point where this is back when we had parking behind the house and not, I would start leaving through the basement door, because there's stairs going down to the basement. There's an open area in the basement, and then there's a door going out the back of the basement. And then I would take that way and walk straight out to my truck to avoid talking to him. And he noticed I was doing that, and then I'd drive out and he'd be there outside waiting to chew me out on something. And then he told my brother Brad, who was living with us from 97 to 2001, he says, Boyd's not allowed to go down through the basement and walk out the back lawn to leave. Can you believe that? I'm not allowed. He's trying to control how I leave the house. Is that just unbelievable? And then, so after that, I continued to walk down the stairs inside the house, go through the basement, out the back door of the basement, walk across some grass, yes, out to my truck, and then I changed my path a little bit. I would drive around the back of his repair shop. Then he told my brother Brad, Boyd's not allowed to do that. Just never ending. He just never ending, wouldn't stop. He couldn't leave me alone. Another perfectionist, nothing was perfect enough for him. I remember, in the early time being around him, he told me, he says, I like everything just so. Well, translate that into everything has to be perfect, including his renters' vehicles. He has this auto repair shop next door. And it really bothered him that his customers would see his renters, me, driving a junky old truck. And back 97 to 2001, I didn't know I had Lyme disease. Wasn't diagnosed with Lyme disease until 2013. And I was struggling to get from one day to the next. And I was driving junky old trucks. Didn't get a decent vehicle until I got my first Ranger in 2007. A 2004 Ranger with 63,000 miles. I didn't get that truck to please him. I got that truck because gas was going up so much. And I had, at the time, I had my 93 F-150, my 94 F-250, both 6 cylinders, and they just used too much gas for doing pizza delivery. And the amount of amount of money I saved per month driving a 4-cylinder Ranger was more than the amount of my truck payment. So anyway, but my life, I've been swimming in narcissism, just surrounded by it, swallowed by it, suffocated by narcissism. Is just never ending. These people can't give up. They're not happy. They're never satisfied. Nothing is good enough for them. They just can't. They gotta keep this to themselves. They can't make. They are never going to be perfect. The world is never going to be perfect. The people around them is never going to be perfect. It's never going to be perfect. Just never. I'm just, I've actually had I got the apartment all to myself now. Well, not, it's been a long time. I've had the apartment all to myself, and no matter how good you get along with the person you live with, there's always going to be an issue here or there. But even if you're like husband and wife and you get along really well, there's eventually, the wife is going to say, well, your office is messy or something like that. But it just, you're imagining a fantasy world if you really believe everything's going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. My life is just, nothing's perfect. Nothing's ever going to be perfect. I have too much stuff. I have too many projects. My life is overcomplicated. It just never ends. But the moral of the story is you have to stand up for yourself. The world has bullies. It has bullies. It has controlling people. It has mean people. It has evil people. You have to stand up to these people one way or another. If someone's really dangerous, destructive, evil, well, maybe that you do what you have to get away from that person or avoid that person. Say, okay, I'm not a therapist, not a cop. If you're living with someone who's physically destructive to you and they're not going to change, get away. You got to find another place to live, especially if you have children with you. Especially if they do that to the children, find another place to live. Live with someone, a family member, live with a friend, or get subsidized housing. Get away from that person. But, yep. Narcissist, I don't know. Is there any healing ever for a narcissist? I think maybe God is the only way a narcissist is ever really going to heal. Narcissism, the seed of narcissism is selfishness. It's the person thinking of themselves more important than the people around them. You know, their goals, their objectives, what they want to do is more important than what the people around them want to do. But I don't know. You know, I could do a part 2 on this video. I've actually, you know, pondered recording a video about narcissism, you know, writing notes, and just something that happened today spurred me to get deep, just really get into this subject. And the reason I hit the record button is this: it's fresh. It's fresh in my mind. It just happened today, and I'm annoyed and I'm energized talking about this subject. And so anyway, well, I got to get some coconut juice here at Aldi's, and I think I'm going to stop right here. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please share this video, you know, maybe on Facebook or X, you know, which is Twitter. Share it with a friend who deals with a narcissist. Oh, I forgot. There's a guy named Kurt who I got the factory job back in January. I replaced Kurt in April. I started January 21st. Kurt got early retirement, you know, for age 62. His last day was April 11th, I believe, a Friday. And he was just one of the worst narcissists I've ever dealt with. I almost walked out of that place 2 different times. Very, very controlling, too much energy. I think he was wired up on uppers or something every day. He would just get wound up. He'd get angry. He'd get impatient. He would give me one task to do, and I'd start it. He'd give me another task and another task and another task until I had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tasks to do, and I hadn't even finished the first 1 or 2. And then he'd be criticized. Well, why didn't you finish that one? I says, well, you loaded me up with 5 more tasks as asked after the second one. And he was what was it? I would, every once in a while, I'd look at my watch, and he would come along. He would bat my hand up so I wouldn't look at my watch. There was times where I was, say, working, sorting some metal or stacking some cut metal pieces on the floor, and he was doing something near me, and he was throwing some pieces in that same box, and the metal pieces were flying close enough to my head that they were flicking my hair. He just annoying as hell. And thank God he was gone. I haven't had to deal with him now for 6 months. Well, he comes and visits the factory every now and then. I think he's been back 4 different times. And they hired another guy named Greg back in August. And Greg got to meet Kurt. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. And Greg was, after 5 minutes of Kurt, and he said when Kurt was out of hearing range, he said to me, Kurt can't get out of here fast enough. Greg got very annoyed with Kurt. So, all right, 24 minutes, 35 seconds. I'll wrap it up right here. Thanks for watching. See you. Bye.